Good evening. Our sign language interpreter is Lensa Odingo. And remember, we would love to hear from you, even in the celebration mood. You can send us your questions or even suggestions on all our social media pages. That's KBC Channel 1 on Facebook, Twitter, and also on Instagram. And you could also send me a message on Cynthia Nyamai. Now, tonight we did take you live earlier on from the Vatican as the announcement came up. And what do we know about the new Pope? Well, he's the first Pope from the U.S. We will be speaking a little bit about his journey from Chicago and also Peru and now even to the Vatican. I will be telling you a little bit about his name and what that name means, why he probably chose that name, and also we will be telling you what does it mean for Africa and what are likely some of the areas that we will see him interested in and what are the expectations of the Catholic Church. Now in studio I am joined by Father Kamau Mbugua, who will be telling us more about it. People have been sending us messages. Everyone is so excited about it and people just want to know more about the new Pope, and we do have the details for you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
What is the mood like? We saw him speak for the first time. The crowd was so excited. We've been getting so many messages about the news. We even had to call you last minute. But what is the mood like, even for you, for Kenyans, and from what you've heard from people so far?
Wow! Since we since the cardinals entered in conclave last on 7th. Everybody has been expecting. We didn't know that it will come that soon.
Yes.
Because as we have been waiting, this is a very defining moment in the history of Catholic Church.
Yes.
Whereby we have a Pope who was dear to many.
Yes. And
he has just gone. And some people are asking, what kind of pontificate are we going to expect?
Yes.
And knowing that this time we had a lot of cardinals who have come in that were elected by Pope Francis, quite a number of them.
Including the current one.
Including the current one. So we were really not sure how things will happen.
Yes.
And it is God's grace that now we have a Pope, and a Pope who is a religious, an Augustinian for that matter.
Yes.
So it is very, the whole church is celebrating. The Holy Spirit has spoken.
Yes.
And we are ready to give our loyalty to the new Pope.
Yes. You've mentioned, and a lot of times people expect, I remember even for Pope Francis, it took a long time, and we just wait for the smoke. But this took a very short time. What does it mean?
I think the Holy Spirit is at work.
Yes.
And again, if you look at the choice that he has given us, it's a choice that is very close to Francis, having experienced the same Latin American theology.
Yes.
So it is, we can say that this is the Holy Spirit at work.
Yes, and they must be having a lot in common. Both of them having served, he was in Peru, both of them having served in the same areas and seem like same also interests. What are some of the other things they have in common?
Of course, they have, according to what we can see now, is that they have several things. Because Pope Francis brought the church to listen to the people in the periphery.
Yes.
And it was at the heart of St. Francis, for Francis, was the majority of the poor. And looking at the new Pope that we are, that has been elected, taking the name of Leo, we know that Leo XIII was the first Pope who to write an encyclical that became an opening of the church to the society.
Yes.
So it is very, they have several things in common. A new aspect that we can see in the church.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are we likely to see a very big difference between the two, or he's likely to just continue with the work of Pope Francis?
Of course, he will not be exactly like Pope Francis, but of course we see a lot of similarity with what Pope Francis had. Because as I have said, opening a new chapter to listening to the society,
yes,
and a dialogue to the society, and listening to what especially the poor,
yes,
are saying to
yes,
the church.
Yes.
Because you know that the church is made up for majority people who are poor, and wishing to see that they have been listened to.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So what does this mean for Africa? We were hoping that we would have a pope from Ghana, but there's still a lot of excitement in Africa.
Oh yes, I was here last time when we were burying Pope Francis,
yes,
and the same question was given to me, that are we expecting an African Pope? And my answer was, and it still is, it does not matter where the Pope comes from. What is important is how open the person reads the church,
yes,
to listen to the will of God, and bringing the church to listen to the gospel,
yes,
of Christ.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
But it is making it news that this is the first time we have a pope from America.
Yeah,
Yes,
of course, yeah.
yes.
That is true, that in the history of the church, we have never had a pope from America. And of course, many people see America as the world of progressive,
yes,
a lot of liberal minds.
Exactly.
Liberal minds.
Yes.
But I don't think, because the church is led by the Holy Spirit.
That's true.
This is the church that has, over the centuries, that it has listened to the will of God over the century. So I don't think having come from a liberal society,
yes,
will not change much. In terms of the doctrines of the church,
yes,
in terms of the stand of the church. Yeah.
But why are you surprised, and why also a lot of people surprised that the Pope is coming from the U.S.?
Of course, because, you know, of the recent past,
yes, yes,
we have had several popes coming outside,
yes,
outside of Italy,
yes,
and outside of Europe. Now this is the second pope which is coming outside, yes, of Europe, and a pope who has a very close link to, as I have said, to Southern Bloc,
yes,
Southern Hemisphere. And of course, again, another very important aspect, he is another religious pope.
Yes.
Because Pope Francis was a Jesuit, a religious, yes, and now we have an Augustinian, yes, priest. Yes. So it is very amazing, yes, how the Holy Spirit is working.
Yes, yes,
yes.
And just looking at even his work in Peru and in his interests, especially when it comes to social issues, what do you think now will be very close to his heart, and what areas will be of priority to him?
Yeah, of course, as we have said, having chosen the name of Leo XIII, probably it's an indication, because as we said, Pope Leo began one of the most celebrated document, Rerum Novarum, yes, which is beginning of new things. Probably this is something that is in the heart of Leo, the new Leo, yes, that he wants to bring in a new in the church, especially listening to the society. Yeah.
And what is the significance of his choice of Italian and Spanish languages in his speech instead of his native English?
Of course, we know the church is in the headquarters of the church is in Italy.
Yes.
So then the language of the church, apart from Latin, second language of the church is Italian. And of course, having come from Peru, which is a country that speaks Spanish, then that we expected that.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And so what are the next steps? Now we have a pope, it's been announced to the world.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, now the next step is what we expect is that very soon the new pope is going to kind of give us his kind of what he expects of the church. And probably very soon he will issue his first encyclical,
yes,
telling the world in which direction
yes,
that we are going through. And I'm hoping and I'm praying the synodality that was begun by Pope Francis will become at the heart
yes,
of the church.
yes,
Because that is whereby the church chooses to listen to people. Synodality means dialogue, talking together.
yes.
So it is the church which is ready to listen and dialogue with the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And when is he then expected to begin his trips around the world?
Of course, now that we depend on him and how much he has on his table, because, you know, the Pope Francis was sick for some time.
Yes.
And of course, there must be several things
yes,
that he had to, several meetings that he has to carry out, and a lot of assignment here and there, all that Pope was not able to do for his last few days
yes,
when he was sick.
yes.
Yeah.
How will the churches in Kenya celebrate on Sunday? What is Sunday going to look like?
Of course, there is a jovial mood,
Yes.
and I expect that every church that will also come up. That now we have a new Pope, and even the liturgy of the Eucharist,
Yes.
where we read, because we were getting confused. Now, because always in the Eucharistic prayer, we always mention the Pope. And for the few days, we have not been able to mention that. So I'm sure the priests, as they mention Leo 14th, they will be very happy.
Yes.
Yes.
We are going to take our first break. I still have a few questions for you, and a few people have sent in questions. That and much more after the break. Welcome back. In studio we have Father Kamau. We have been celebrating as we have a new Pope, and he's telling us a little bit about the new Pope, and even how did they make that decision? And that's the first question. What does it take to become a Pope? We know in our elections we talk about a majority, and it's also the same. Take us through that process.
Of course, as we saw last week, when they have the last celebration of Mass, invoking the Holy Spirit, all the cardinals, many of the cardinals were there. And from after the invoking of the Holy Spirit, after the litany of all saints,
yes,
then the cardinals who are to elect the new Pope were escorted up to the conclave.
Yes.
Conclave means a house that is locked. So conclave in Italian.
Yes.
So then they entered in, and there, as we heard, they were not supposed to communicate with anybody. Their gadget, they had no gadget,
yes,
and the whole communication with the outside world was cut.
yes,
So it is only them and the Holy Spirit.
yes.
And of course, according to the tradition, the election of the Pope is done twice in a day.
Yes.
So 2 ballots in the morning and 2 ballots in the afternoon. So then if the 2 ballots in the morning and 2 ballots in the afternoon do not have the majority, to that majority, then we have the black smoke. Last night, we saw a black smoke coming from System Chapel.
Yes.
And then to this morning, they had two ballots, and again probably 2 ballots in the afternoon. Or probably in the morning, they had already some indication.
Yes.
And probably in the evening, in the afternoon, they had another 2 ballots. And that is when we saw a white smoke.
Yes.
That means the Holy Spirit has spoken. That means the cardinals, elected cardinals, have agreed on the new Pope.
Yes.
Yes.
I was just asking that because for me it's quite impressive that it happened in such a short time, and we just wanted people people to also really understand what it takes, and that for it to happen in such a short time with little stalemate, that was quite a miracle.
Yeah, of course, in Catholic Church there is no campaign.
Yes.
So we didn't have any campaign that goes in beyond, before that.
Yes.
What happened is that in the 9 days of prayer, each cardinal will tell about his expectation of the church. And we saw that throughout the 7 days, that everyone will come and celebrate Mass, explain what he expects of the church, where the direction that he thinks the church will need to move. And probably even from there, those listening, the cardinals who are listening, probably they were taking notes, especially the rector cardinals.
Yes.
They were taking notes. And probably with that in mind, they already have in mind what they expected the church to be. And probably together with the Holy Spirit, probably they saw that Pope Leo XIV is the choice.
Yes. Yes. Wow. And what does it mean now for the youth? You know a little bit about his history. And now these days we see a lot of young people even in the church and wanting to be seen, especially from last year with everything that happened in Kenya. So what does this mean for the youth?
Of course, I think the time has come, not only the church, everybody to listen to the youth.
Yes.
Because the time of the youth is now. We are no longer the time when we say that youth are leaders of tomorrow. Now it is their own time.
Yes.
And with the technology that it's going, it has shown that without listening to the youth, probably every society needs to re-evaluate their stand. And even the church. I think Pope Francis had started something very close to the youth by celebrating yearly a mass for the youth, moving from one state to the from one country to the other, correcting all the youth and listening to them. And I think this is a lesson to all the societies, including Kenya. Yes.
And ever since you came into studio, you've been so excited about the choice and the announcement. Why are you so excited about this decision?
I am excited in a way because, first of all, as we have said, it is something to see that we produce one of the Pope from America. That is excitement itself. The second one is that we have gotten another Pope who is a religious.
Yes.
And I, being a religious, a Franciscan Capuchin, it's a plus on the religious life. Because religious life has always been the prophetic voice within the church.
Yes. Thank you so much, Father, for joining us. Someone was actually sharing that he was actually here in Kenya last year. We will be sharing more details on that.